Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Priceless Possibilities, our podcast where we sit down with leaders who are reshaping the future of finance, tech, and the digital economy. I'm Olivia Bellingham, Senior Vice President at Mastercard EEMEA. Whether you're watching this between meetings, on a run, or in your commute, I'm delighted to have you here today. With me, I have Richard Teng. It's an honor and a privilege to have you with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Olivia. It's great to be here.
We're going to be talking about the future of finance and how digital currencies fit into the world that we're entering into. Richard, thank you so much for being here with us today. I would like to start by asking you to tell us about your professional background, because I think your background is really critical to legitimizing what's a relatively new industry. Can you tell us about yourself?
Sure, thanks. So I spent slightly more than 3 decades in financial services, started my career with the Central Bank of Singapore in 1994, spent 13 years there, and I was very privileged to do different things with the Central Bank of Singapore, right? So I was regulating banks, securities markets, approving IPOs, regulating insurance intermediaries, but I also have the good opportunity and chance to be in Singapore and with the MES when Singapore is going through a big developmental push to make Singapore a global international center. So in the 90s, Singapore was a regional center, and the aspiration is to be an international financial center like New York. At that point in time, the premier center was Tokyo in Asia Pacific and Hong Kong. So what you see today is years of many hard work, of strategic vision that came about. So I started there, then went to Singapore Exchange, where I became the Chief Regulatory Officer. I was then headhunted to Abu Dhabi, where I was CEO of Financial Services Regulatory Authority, and I joined Binance 4 years back.
Amazing. And what was it about the crypto industry that really sparked your attention in 2017 when you joined?
Well, so I got to know crypto right about 2017 in the United States. So I go for an annual conference called the Futures Industry Association meeting, where it's a big powwow of global regulators, of global exchanges. And in that edition, I see a lot of crypto boys coming through, and that intrigued me. So the more I understand the sector, understand what crypto is about, the more I believe that this is going to be the future of financial services. And it's actually solved a lot of pain points that, whether it's central bank or within financial services, we've been talking for so long, right? So even if you look at today, we have been talking about financial inclusion for the last 30, 40 years, right? But still 1.4 billion people around the world are unbanked. They are not served by the financial sector. They have no proper mode of payment. And crypto represents that solutions to solve all these pain points, right? So in 2017, when I was CEO of FSRA in Abu Dhabi, I said, let's support this. And the way for this to go mainstream is it needs clarity in terms of regulations, and also it needs... And that clarity will bring about more institutional participation, which is critical for this sector to go mainstream. So we became one of the first in the world at ADGM at that point in time to come up with a comprehensive set of regulations to start regulating this space to give it legitimacy.
Yeah, and I think trust is the foundation of any currency, no matter what it is. So on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 100, how far in the journey do you think we are in terms of establishing the trust in crypto assets?
I would say that if you compare 2 years ago, we have come a long, long way, but we're still at a very early stage, right? Today, globally, we're about 8% global crypto adoption. But if you look at many countries around the world, they have still not formulated their framework to start regulating this space, right? So the users, the first 5% of crypto adopters, what we call the early adopters, can come through very quickly without the benefit of proper framework or regulations. But for mass adoption to come through, they will need the clarity of rules, the user protection framework, what is there to safeguard them from bad actors in the marketplace. So I still like to see a lot more from regulators and policymakers around the world to give that trust, right? But compared to 2 years ago, we have come such a long way. 2 years back, you have most of the traditional financial institutions around the world. They are still big detractors, skeptics of crypto, right? So that essentially changed in 2024 with the approval of ETF, firstly in the United States and then subsequently around the world. When you have, the largest money manager of the world, Larry Finn, came out to say he went from a skeptic to a true believer and a big supporter. That is a 180 degrees change, right, within the landscape. And then you see many institutions starting to embrace in a big way, all the different crypto use cases starting to develop and scale very quickly. I think all those are big testament of what we are going to see. And then, you have one of the biggest critics of crypto, CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, that have for the longest time been one of the biggest skeptics. And he started supporting it this year. So we have come a long, long way since then, but we're still very early days. So the future of crypto is very bright from that angle.
What do you think are, just to bring it to life for our audience a little bit, can you give a couple of examples of use cases for crypto?
Yeah, so there are many use cases, right? So if you look at one of the biggest and fastest growing use cases in the area of stablecoin, I think with the passing of the Genius Act, with more clarity, we have seen tripling of transaction value in stablecoin for this year alone in 2025. And that's huge, right? So we're going to see a lot of that. And I think banks now realize, after they spend a lot of time into this issue, that the current banking rails and infrastructure is very archaic by now. So you do a bank transfer cross-border, even for corporates, it takes 2 to 3 days for the transfer to reach the recipient. You have to incur huge costs. But if you do stablecoin, essentially it's instantaneous at a fraction of the money. They have certainty that the money will reach the recipient, right? And you can do it on a 24/7 basis. You're not tied in by the banking hours of any countries, right? So I do see a lot of financial institutions, especially the big global ones, who want to issue their own stablecoins to facilitate money transfer cross-border. A lot of e-commerce players will want to do that because it solves a lot of problems for their merchants, for their vendors around the world. And so we will continue to see huge adoption. And financial institutions that don't embrace this technology is going to suffer a huge competitive disadvantage vis-a-vis those that do, right? The other area is crypto payment. So just to give you some figures, today we have close to 300 million customers on Binance, right? And making us the largest globally in terms of crypto space, but also the most regulated. We are regulated in 21 different countries. But if you look at crypto payments, we started 2024 with 12,000 merchants that signed up with us to do that. By now, we have reached 21 million merchants globally, right? So you can see the pace of growth continue to accelerate very quickly. And you can see all the different use cases, tokenization of assets coming through in a very big way. Again, that's a very good use case of the crypto technology. So we're going to see all these important use case where, the traditional financial institutions together with the Web3 companies like ourselves bring about a very big convergence in that space. And they exist, even like tokenization, they exist to improve effectiveness, improve efficiency, and allow consumer much more choices. So that's great for the future.
So very interesting, and I have a couple of follow-ups, questions to what you were just talking about there. One is, when you think about your vision for the future, do you see the DeFi world and the TradFi world, traditional finance, coexisting for a certain period? And if so, how long? Or do you really see DeFi kind of taking over? How do you think that's going to play out?
My view is that both will continue to grow, right? And both will continue to be very important. They appeal to a slightly different crowd of people. So, for example, in the DeFi world, many regulated entities might not be able to use DeFi or decentralized exchange, right? So they sort of appeal to slightly different crowd, but they'll both continue to grow. What we are aiming to be at Binance is to be the CDeFi exchange of the world, right? So bring together the best of the centralized world together with decentralized feature as well as asset class in that space to allow our users the broadest range of products and best features possible. So we're trying to bring about that. And we see a lot of convergence between the two spaces, right? So, for example, Binance and Mastercard entering into a partnership to really supporting all this. But it's not only Mastercard. We have announced Franklin Templeton, where we are working with them. in the tokenization, in the crypto space. We have worked with many other financial institutions coming through. So we're going to make a few big announcements in a matter of weeks on that front as well. So we are very excited to see this huge convergence of the two space, and it's going to bring a lot of opportunities for both of us.
Okay, fantastic. You mentioned also the fact that some merchants want to issue a stable coin, some banks want to issue stable coins. We could potentially have a world in the future where you have a proliferation of so many different types of currencies out there.
Yes.
Again, kind of, using your crystal ball and looking into the future, where do you see that landing? Do you see us having hundreds or thousands of different stable coins, or what does the future look like?
Well, in any fast growth industry, right, whether it's AI or stablecoin or crypto, you're going to have a lot of players at the outset because everybody thinks that they're going to be the future champion, right? And you're going to have a lot of investments into that space. And that is bound to happen in any asset class, in any technology that's going through a fast growth period of time. But, at some point in time, the growth will mature slightly more. And that's where people start to slow down and ask questions. Do we need so many AI models? Do we need so many stable coins, right? Can we bring about much greater efficiency through things like mergers and acquisition, which are the future champions of the world? So that phase will come, but we are not there yet. We're still very early in the fast growth phase.
Fantastic. So look, the Middle East, and in particular the UAE, holds a very important role in the future of finance, and you've been one of the shapers of this, on the regulatory side and now in the function that you're in. How do you see the Middle East compared to the rest of the global landscape? Do you see us ahead, at par, behind?
Oh, definitely ahead. So if you look at, the UAE is great in terms of really rethinking the future and putting in place all the right pillars to support its growth, right? And it's moving very fast, right? So it's known for its agility. We have a minister for AI in UAE, which is unique around the world. But just show how foresightful the UAE is in terms of embracing future technological trends. And this is one of the first place, and I was allowed to really push forth the crypto agenda way back in 2017, 2018 when I was in Abu Dhabi, where if I broach that to anywhere else in the world, I think they probably freak out, right? But they allow me a free rein to say, look, we believe in this is going to be a future of technology, and allow me a free push at that point in time. So UAE is ahead of the game. And if you look at the regulations from this region, I would say they are best in class. They are ahead of many other regions around the world. But of course, you have US that's coming through in a very big way with the passing of Genius Act, Market Clarity Bill, and being the largest economy, largest capital markets in the world. When President Trump said that US will be the AI and crypto capital of the world, you have to take notice. And you have to really set the future for the country to make sure you can compete with the largest economy in the world as well.
Absolutely. So yes, you mentioned 2024 and 2025 as landmark years for crypto, underpinned by higher institutional adoption and the regulatory acceptance. So closing question for you, what do you see for 2026?
Well, I would say that 2026 is going to be just as exciting, because if you look at the fundamental trends and momentum, they're extremely strong, right? So the different utility, and the more you have different type of players coming into this marketplace, right? So the institutions, the foundation, the trust, the corporates, and now the sovereigns are all coming into this space, whether it's on the asset allocation front, the trading front, or just creating products coming through, right? So if you look at even the traditional exchanges like the CME, CBOE, etc., they're all starting to introduce crypto products. So that means that we're going to see the onset of mass adoption, mass trading, and mass embracement, which is extremely important, because the more we have different sort of players into the marketplace, the deeper and the broader the marketplace is going to be. One of the biggest concerns in the past surrounding crypto is really embraced by the retail. And when the asset class is only embraced by one particular type of users, it can tend to be volatile in terms of price movement, right? And also the market may not be deep enough. But with a broadening and deepening of markets, you're going to see different markets going forward, and you're going to see a lot more new products being introduced in this space, right? So it's going to be very exciting from next year and the year forward.
We're really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time, Richard.
Thanks for having me.
That was part 1. Now we're going to start with part 2, which is the rapid fire questions.
All right.
You ready?
Okay, let's go.
All right. Ready as you ever will be. Okay, here we go. In one line, what is a cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency is a usage of distributed ledger technology to do a transfer of value in a secure, transparent manner.
Perfect.
It's the best way to transfer.
All right, question number 2. Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin.
Question 3. AI or blockchain? What
Blockchain.
excites you more about the future?
Blockchain than AI.
Okay.
But I think both technology will work hand in hand, right? Because I think one cannot go without the other.
Question number 4. What's one myth about crypto that you would like to dispel?
Well, I get this question a lot. I think one of the biggest misperception is that crypto is used for financial crimes, which is furthest away from the truth, because crypto is a traceable technology and responsible entity like ourselves work with global enforcement agencies. And if you look at the percentage of crypto transactions that's involved in financial crimes, it's much lower than compared to the traditional fiat space, traditional financial space.
Wow. Thank you. I learned something. All right. Question 5. How did you pay for the last item you purchased?
I get my staff to pay for me.
All right. If you could pay for anything with just the blink of an eye, what would it be?
Oh, that's good. A nice meal.
All right. Any favorite cuisine?
I like all sorts.
Okay.
I'm Chinese. I eat everything under the sun.
All right. Last question here. AI. Is it to be feared or is it an opportunity?
I think it's a bit of both. So I think you need the right attitude and the right risk management tools around it. But there's so much opportunities to be harnessed, right? But you just need to have the right framework to manage it.
Richard, thank you so much for your time, sharing your perspectives and insights. To everybody listening, if you enjoyed today's episode, follow us on LinkedIn and keep an eye on the Mastercard EEMEA newsroom for more conversations with innovators shaping the future of payments and tech. More stories, more perspectives, and more priceless possibilities coming soon. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and thank you for joining us.